Ooh, perfect. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Willie. How you guys doing today? Oh, I can't hear you, Willie. I think you unmuted yourself, but I can hear you.
Oh,
What about you, Johnny?
good
Oh,
afternoon, everyone.
hey, hey. Now we can
I
hear you.
am doing great. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Great. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being committed. And I think that's the real key to success, right? A lot of times we're offered success and secrets to go with them, but the fundamental one is really that one: being eager to learn, being eager to drive our limits further away from what we think they are, and adapting. And that only comes with discipline and consistency. So I always love to see you guys who show up early and consistently. That's beautiful. Um, while we're waiting for the rest to gather and for us to pick momentum, do you guys have any specific questions that you want to take a tour on while we're here? Specifically, things that are um, maybe being a hurdle for yourselves when you're trying to approach these exercises. I know recently you both started touching and playing a little bit more with the AI, trying to get comfortable with that. How is that going? One step at a time, usually that's the case. So, yesterday we discussed a little bit about the email setup, and I guess we can start with a recap on that just to make sure that things are anchored properly. And like in any marketing exercise, fundamentally, what you want to make sure that you establish is a good idea of your pitch, of your business description, of how you position your UVP, right? And there's a lot of, there should be a good amount of work put into this step in terms of preparation, right? Because this is where we make sure that already a lot of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. It's where we make sure that in each case in this space, when we're about to roll out a conversation, that we have kept in perspective every important aspect of our conversation. Coming back again to that, these values that we want to keep in mind when looking at solving a problem, right? This very simple set of questions, but that are redundant in our space. Who it is that I'm trying to target for my conversation, what exactly am I offering, and at a deeper value, what is the problem that this offer is bringing a solution to? When is it appropriate to make an offer, right? Where is it that the benefits are found, right? Why is it that we are advocating this, or how, right? These questions can take different shapes, but they're part of an algorithmic process of thinking, right? And often enough, when we're confused in our approach or confused in what we are doing, it falls into that. What are the logical steps that we are following? Here, I'm constantly uh, offering and preaching the use of this type of format in the process of outlining what we're doing or approaching what we're doing. This 5 point rhythm, this cycle of thinking is something that I apply at every stage when I'm doing the brand conversation and evaluating my brand, when I'm trying to map out the conversation around an opportunity. And even now, when we're building this email conversation, especially in what we are about to go in for this session, the pro approach. right? Yesterday, we covered how across the platform we can simply start creating step by step the email campaign that we're going to be using, depending on where we are in our objective, right? To put it simply, we have three objectives. We want to acquire, which falls into a whole sequence of action in terms of acquisition. We want to convert, which falls into a whole sequence of interaction with the prospect to convert. And then we want to retain, right? In terms of objective, in the simplest way to perceive it, however, we want to flip our formulas. Our objective will fall into one of these three categories, which happens to be also the first approach at segmentation that we offered, right? In this idea, in this conversation around segmentation and in the perspective of using AI, we know that there's two legs of this three-sided intent or objective that we can automate, right? Everything that is in the acquisition, since we're looking at volume in execution and we are following, or we should be following, an established roadmap for success. Okay. We are looking at taking advantage of the automation there. Same thing on the other end of the process when we're trying to maintain a long-term relationship, since we know that there's going to be consistency in volume required for the ongoing relationship, we can already start making use of the automation there. The third leg in the middle, the conversion or the onboarding, is always something that is a little bit more delicate to handle. And I recommend approaching the automation part when you have scaled your business to that appropriate size. For now, since we are establishing, we want to stick to the basis, right? So going through the platform very simply, when you have established your business conversation properly, you can take advantage of this first button. And for those who are new to the platform or are still warming up, I'm going to start from the beginning. This is your welcome page. We are in the marketing section, since the emails are marketing assets. And just like websites, okay, one thing to remember is that the email asset that you create will be defined by its objective, right? Whether you choose to call it an email campaign or a newsletter falls basically within the objective of its title. Same like when you're going and fulfilling a role in the chain of employees or department for an employer. You are put at a desk to do a specific task and nothing more, right? Once you're done, you pass it on to the next agent in the line of the service implementation. And this is exactly the same mind frame that you want to bring in this space when you're creating your email campaigns. Remember, an email campaign is a series of email. You can, and we are all able in this space to draft an email and send that email, right? It's not complicated. Where the different factors or different things that you need to take in account will come in is when you're preparing a sequence, right? In this space, at this point, we all know once we want to generate a new email, we can click on Add New, right? Next step, I would call this one just to move along. So next step, right? We were creating this series again, following our established sales flow. Connect, build a rapport, present, and then follow up, right? So we are at the fourth stage. It's the next step. The previous one was an invitation to a demo, if I remember correctly. And now it's our next step. So when you are using the tool to create the sequence, of course, you're getting a strong template already. And based on the strength of what came before your UVP, your business description, the baseline conversation that you're getting here should be strong, right? What you are doing, your first concern is definitely the delay or the time frame between each emails. And that is what also defines an email campaign since it's a sequence of email. So emails that are planned out ahead of time to be rolled out in a core to a specific time frame. Right? This is important to note because again, when it comes down to establishing the objective of your email series, making it a newsletter or a acquisition campaign or conversion campaign, well, the time frame will be important, right? If I'm doing a newsletter, then I know that the time frame or the time span on which this can run can be above 12, in the ranges of 30s, even if I want to. Remember, coming back to our slides that we were looking at, this simple but complex, I would say, conversation. Robert noted that this here could lead to confusion. But the understanding that I wanted to put forward here is that, well, when you're creating a campaign, the numbers which define the length of your campaign, if you're approaching it in between 3 and 12, then it's most likely a targeted campaign that you will be revisiting quickly so that you can optimize based on the stats that you're getting. Automation, right? If the amount of email that you're stacking in this campaign goes beyond the threshold of 12 and can go up to even more, 30, then you're looking at something that has a long period of implementation. Then you're going into the realms of newsletter, right? Both of them have different objective, right? One, get the person to take an action and convert. The other one, maintain an existing relationship, right? And this is important to understand because in our previous example, when we were doing this lead magnet, right? I'm just going to go back to that. Well, before we go to that, I'm just going to finish here. Um, Coming back to the emails when you said them, very important, the time frame. And within Now site here, you can use these different increments. Of course, when you're doing a campaign, we recommend separating them by days. And the number of days is always anchored by the first one, right? Here I'll put day 5. If I'm not mistaken, we were at day 5. Well, no, I'm mistaken. But here it's a perfect example as well. You can see that the email are systematically being arranged in accord to their scheduled date, right? The first one is set immediately, 24 hours after. The second one goes out, that's day 1. 48 hours from the first one mean 24 hours from the second one, day 2, right? And following this, I should have been at day 3. I'm going to make a mistake here, and you'll see we're at email 4. And instead of putting it at day 3, like it should, I'll put it at day 1, just so that you can see what is the impact of this error or this sidestep. And it's important to understand that mechanic. So you can see here, the tool is rearranging the campaign in reference to the day, right? And this is important. So I'm just going to go back here and correct that. Okay. Switch it to 3. Let's see. So when you're properly organizing your sequence of email, the first thing that you want to pay uh, attention to is the scheduling, right? Now, doing it like a pro. Before we go into that deeper realm of step-by-step process, bringing together everything that we have discussed so far in terms of algorithmic thinking, in terms of coming prepared, in terms of having a clear step-by-step or objective established to work out the best outcome in this process. Before we go into that, any questions so far? Straightforward. Perfect. So we're going to go to the difficult part. It's not difficult.
Sorry,
It's just straight.
Virgil.
Go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, I
No, no.
I was just a bit slow in unmuting. When you do these campaigns, you've got the first email. I didn't see how you uh, go into to the next one
Okay.
to add the next one.
Okay. I'm going to repeat that here. So I'm going to go from scratch. We're going to go back to the business profile, memory lane, and here we're going to do a second email, and that will start from scratch. And we'll also show you how we go into the second one. So here, I'm going to call it memory lane 2. This would be the welcome email. Okay. Here, I select the email that is assigned, that should be assigned for this email rollout, the name of the campaign. And here already, I can choose to connect it to the list that was generated when I created the marketing asset. So I'm going to do so, and I'm going to launch it. Right. So this is when you get your first email. Okay, the AI will go to work, and we'll look actually at the template as well. Okay, so that's going to be a good sidestep into the next part. So here I got my first email, as I should. Let me move the screen here, and you can see, as I was explaining, it's set for to be sent immediately. It has a structured template that is solid in the sense that it opens up with a title. This is where you would want to have your strongest hook. You have a space here for a picture. You can change it to a video. You have the text and you have the call to action, right? Note one thing. I came to realize that if this button is up here, then coming in after they saw the title, they saw the picture or the video, the next thing is the call to action. It brings this into focus, right? So I made a slight change and I'm going to save. Okay. Now at this part, right, and I'm glad you asked this question because it's important for the next step. At this stage, if I keep using the AI, I'm just going to click here on add new, and it's going to set me up to do the same thing, meaning have the AI stepping to help me with the construction. And here, I'm going to call it the follow up, right? So follow up after welcome, I'm going to follow up with you, and I'm going to click on build the email. Okay. So again, the AI goes into that spin. It will generate the exact template that we had in the first step. So you see, exact template. I have a title, I have a picture, I have a text, and now I have my button here. I have the name of the email, right? And I have the time. Coming back to what we said, we want to space this out at least for a day. You could space them out 2 or 3 days apart. It's up to you, but at least space them out for a day. And I'm going to save. So you see, this is how I got into the creation of my second email, right?
Okay.
And so on and so forth, if I wanted to go. Now, this is where we start going into the second approach. Because as I said, or as I did in the beginning, when I looked at the content that the AI provided me, right? The button was on the last fold of this email. And I chose simple adjustment to bring it forward. And I want my template to be always like that. Now, if I just go back and hit this button a third time and say, for example, come to my next demo, right? That would be the next objective or conversation in this email. If I do this again, I'm going to get the same outcome as previous, same template structure. And I would be forced to modify the template. So I'll demonstrate that, right? And this, we're slightly going into the pro approach because when you are approaching this with a pro mind frame, understanding that, well, I decided from the beginning how long my campaign was going to be. Okay, so how deep was going to be this exercise? Already, when I open up this email template, I already have a good idea of how long, how many emails I will want, right? Not only that is a fact, but also now that I started adjusting my template, I want to make sure that every new email that is created has the same format because these are moves that I don't want to have to repeat every time, right? And when you're being agile and efficient, every step you take now counts, right? So if I have to do many steps over and over each time I'm doing this, I might be wasting time. Understanding already that in so far I kind of pivoted in the next part of the conversation, Johnny. I'll pause before I continue. So far, you got an answer to your question? We're good?
Yes, I did. Thanks. Looks like I did it.
Perfect. Perfect. I kind of slid into the next part of the conversation, the flow of ideas and also conversation. This is what you guys want, the ultimate stage where you want to get, where you can move on your ideas with no hesitation. Not that you won't make mistakes, but you're confident enough to be able to correct those mistakes because you have a set goal in mind and you're adjusting vis-a-vis of that goal every step of the way. Right? So that's important. So here, now you understand. I am no longer interested in the template that the AI provides. I want to move with my template. Not only that, coming back to our equation, right? I decided in this case, for example, that I'm going to do a newsletter. So I know that I'm going to go at least 12 deep or more. If, on the other hand, I was like, no, you know what? This is going to be a soft acquisition campaign disguised as a newsletter, since it's that offer by default that I wanted to include as a third tier gift in my lead magnet, right? Get the free guide, get the free facts, or sign up to get more advice on continuously, right? Because one has 10, the other one has 20. What if you need more? Right? And that's always a good offer. So here, for example, if I wanted to say, well, this is going to be a campaign because I want to control and implement, see the result if it converts. So I'm not going to go too deep because I want to be able to, I want it to roll from top to bottom so I can come back and look at these statistics and adjust the content for the next campaign until I get the numbers that I'm gunning for, right? I'm going to keep it in a manageable size. That's it. Keep in mind that when you have established your content, if it's running, you cannot come back into it and start tweaking things, right? Once you have launched the automation, there's no going back. We have to wait until the end of the cycle before we come back and start adjusting content, right? So the longer your cycle, the harder it is, or the longer it is the wait for the optimization, right? So manageable size. That's up to you to decide, but manageable size, right? So here I decide I want to be between 3 and 12. I'll say 12, right? So already in my mind, and this is important for the rest of the algorithm that I would put in place. So already, for example, in my mind, going back to my tool, okay, I already know that I will need 12 of those, right? So already, I can already take that out of my way, okay, and start creating these 12 like that, right? This is if you want to start doing it like that, you have the opportunity to. The good thing about this is that it allows you to plan out your strategy or your content ahead of time. I would say that, right? You can also get a better idea of, okay, well, how long is going to be the cycle before I come back and I'm able to optimize and such. These are things that you tend to take out of the way. So here, what am I doing? Let me just here. Just correct this. So take 3, email 3, and I have to correct the last one. So 1, 2, 3, 3D4. Just correct this one here. There's a one thing that you will note is that there's a slight uh, well, you notice at the end, day 4 here, or email 4, and the scheduled date is day 3. There's one number behind since the original email is email 1, 2, 3, and it's sent out immediately, considered day 0. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and here. This is a way to spot check your template, your email structure when you're creating it. All right. So here, doing something like that, I already know that I have my email sequence in terms of date, the template established, right? I also have a format that I can decide or that I have decided that is optimal. I want the hook and the call to action to be the first thing that they fall on. And if they need more information, then they are called to read the rest. I could also add an extra button there to avoid them having to navigate back there. But coming back again to what we got as a golden rule during our loss transition session, one email, one job, right? This is important at the beginning. So that way you can track the conversion of each email, right? If there's one specific call to action per email, then when you're looking at your click rate, you're also getting a good idea of how many of these people have actually converted. If you're offering bookings and you have 15 clicks, meaning people opened and clicked on the content, but we're not getting these 15 bookings, then there's a conversation to be had, right? So this is important. These little things all add up, right? So keep that in mind. One for the, at least at the beginning, one email, one job. This is very important. Now, getting all the rest of these factors in. This is when we want to start making good use of our AI tool. Knowing the power of AI and the time that it can save us, right? I'm going to do this within Now site. Let me just step out of here, and we're going to make use of our My AI. Hopefully, we have all properly set up the My AI tool, and we know what that entails. If we haven't, go back to your Train My AI and make sure that you have filled out all the proper fields here so that the AI knows exactly who you are and can have that element as part of what it uses in its algorithm. First, to interact with you in the My AI chat, but also to better encapsulate your writing style, right? I'm going to split my screen in two, hopefully get to see. Actually, let me stop the share here. And just to reinforce the fact that when I'm doing this, I am adhering to this 5-step process into uh, finding out the right approach, setting up the right conversation prompts for the AI, right? This is important. So here, for example, actually, before we go to this note, I have some red titles here. And as we go through, you'll notice that they are in line with our algorithmic thinking process. I need to define my objective. I need to collect relevant data. I need to understand the process that I'm about to implement. I need to go into the implementation of the process and at the end, review and optimize, right? And this also applies when we're doing our email campaign, right? So hence what I was trying to do here to make sure that you get the full view of both of those screens here, right? So can you guys see both of these screens? I have a Word document on one side and I have my Virtual AI on the other. And I recommend that whether you're using OpenAI, which I could open directly here as well, or any other tool, always have these side by side, your research, right? This is part of coming to the exercise prepared, right? And in terms of approaching the prompt conversation, I found that speaking in your words as plainly as possible and giving as much detail as you can on the objective that you're following is the key to success when trying to leverage the power of AI. You will see in any tutorials that you will uncover out there or any classes around the use of new AI, everything starts with the right algorithm. And the right algorithm is providing it with as much specific details as you can around your objective. In this case, for example, you can see I would like to create a series of 12 emails. So already I decided the length of my email. Right? It's not maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. No, I'm going in with that objective. I'm going to create a sequence of 12, right? For a newsletter subscription, offering tips, advice, and facts on the following topic, right? That's the prompt. The rest are the details pertaining to the research that I made. And of course, coming back to that, when we were in the evaluation steps, right? Going over the case study of this memory place product, right? And also approaching this exercise, understanding that there were certain things that I was gonna need to offer, checklist, mini book, squeeze, challenge. So much of that work was already done there, right? So I'm gonna start using that as well. So nothing we do is lost. We recycle. From this conversation, as you remember, I had produced the family guide and also the security facts sheet. So I was already prepared with a conversation load that I can submit. And this is in fact what you see playing out in this prompt. Okay, so we're going to go back to this prompt. Let me just show this again. Perfect. So here you go. So I would like to create a series of 12 emails for a newsletter subscription offering tips, advice, and facts on the following topic: protecting family data in the cloud, right? 2025 edition, in order to further promote my business, which is Memory Lane or Memory Place, right? That's the objective. Second step, collecting relevant data, right? We went to the approach at evaluating the conversation, the benefits, and whatnot. So I'm going to put what I have here, right? Family today generate more digital content than ever, photo, video, voice notes, and shared moment across generation. But most don't realize that that common cloud service aren't built for long-term family memory preservation. Here are 5 essential truths that every household should know before trusting the cloud. Right? So these are the data, the search, the direction in which my intention went to fulfill this objective, right? And I placed it here. And to reinforce that, I put forward a segment of that conversation. So that's step 2, me collecting the relevant data. Step 3, right? I've took the time to understand the process of the email, my choice. So I'm going to outline that directive to AI. right? And I want this series of email, not only I want it to be written following a sequence, but I want specific call to action, and I want the call to action to alternate between them. So one call to action per emails in the sequence, but I have more than one options to bring the client in, depending on the different assets that I've prepared. Right. So this part is important, right? Uh, Implementing the process. This is where we start using all the value that we got from our previous conversation, right? Because already there, relying on the AI, if I go back to the emails that I was generating, I know or I have a lot of confidence that the content that the AI is offering here is strong, right? So here we'll put it to the test and take a look at it. Oh, sorry, just increase the size of my screen here. So here. So we are thrilled to welcome you to Memory Lane, Memory Place, where every cherished memory finds a safe havens. Our mission is to enable you to capture, store, and share your most precious moment effortlessly, no matter where you are. At Memory Lane, Memory Place, we understand the value of connection. That's why we create a seamless way for you to keep your loved one close, even when miles apart. Thank you for choosing us to preserve your memory. We look forward to being a part of your story. Right? This is a powerful text. So, already having done all my back work, I am already strong in confidence in what this will deliver. The idea now is to, as I said, leverage the AI like a pro. And knowing that we already have some strength embedded in the conversation, well, how do we make it better? So, going back. So, in this case, very simply, start getting familiar with the use of your AI. And as you can see here, I already outlined a conversation. I have a choice, right? I can feed the bulk of it to the AI. Here, before I do this, the last part in implementing the process, and this was important, we have gone through the best way to approach building strong conversation with intent and emotional triggers to get them to convert. And this is the most important part of what we're trying to achieve through our email series, the engagement factor. As I said, you can send out, you can see the click rate, but if that click rate does not convert, you are piquing people's curiosity. That's a win. They are staying attentive to what you are offering. That's a win. But the ultimate goal is not being achieved. We're not converting. And we want to be able to assess that. And we have to have an algorithm to be able to give more power to our conversation, as we found that to be the case when we were working on our brand conversation, on our two-line rationale, on all the steps that we took to evaluate the clarity, the reach, the scalability, the memorability of these conversations. Same effect that or same objective that is being pursued here. And you can see here, I say, let's build the first three email of the sequence, okay? So that we can create a standard template for the rest of the series. So already I'm planning out the rest of my work, right? I set up the fact that I'm going to need 12. I understand how I'm going to be spacing them. I have strengthened my content, right? Now I want to make this even stronger. Coming back to this idea of personalizing your template, it is. So I'm going to tell it, this is what I want. And even more, I'm going to bring in all these values that we know. I want the content to be created using the following approach. When speaking about my community, I want to create belonging, assurance, use the following emotional trigger stacking structure. exclusivity plus reliability plus social proof to draft this paragraph, right? And these are part of the documents that we already have shared together. These are part of conversation that we have explored together in this space as well, right? If we come back to it, these are our emotional trigger stacks approach, right? So once you have gone through your brand evaluation, once you have gone through the problem solving approach for the discernment, the assessment of how you want or how you need to shape your conversation to trigger the right motion through emotions, then you come back to this table and you start looking at what are the best stack arrangement to use depending on where you're going with this, right? And this is important. It is how you get to have a powerful or converting system that you can pass on by documenting these steps, right? And it's important to do because the more you do this, the more you implement this process, the faster you get at doing this. And the quicker, the more agile you become, right? So for each case, when you're speaking about my service, right, I have a specific arrangement that I want you to use. When you're speaking about my business in general, in this series, I want you to use this, right? So let's test what it gives us. So I'm going to grab all this. Okay. Yes. I have already some examples, but we'll compare. I did this using chat as well, just to have a gauge, pitching AI against AI. So I gave it the bulk of the conversation. So this is my thought process. And I recommend, again, for any exercise that you're approaching, start like that. Open up a Word document, lay down your processes, your step by step ideas or how you see this being achieved so that when you share this with the AI, you can also better evaluate what it's providing you, right? So here, let's go and see what it has created for us vis-a-vis of the other one here. So crafting a series of 12, super, this is what we want, required a nuanced approach. Well, let me read this properly. Crafting, let me increase this as well so we can actually all see it here. So crafting a series of 12 emails for memory lane, memory place with a focus on protecting family data in the cloud, 2025 edition, and incorporating the specific emotional trigger stacking structure for community service and business promotion requires a nuanced approach. Here's how the first three emails could be structured, integrating your objectives and emotional trigger. And you can see that by doing this recap, AI is trying to make sure that we're going in the right direction, right? If by reading this, it was going into the wrong direction already, I would have went into a prompt correction. Oh, you mentioned this. Can you adjust that before I even go into the process of reading, right? Very important. So, first email, welcome to our family community. And I love this right away. Coming back to what I said previously, beyond the transactional nature of how this relationship starts, we want to put forward the relationship every time. I think it's the most powerful thing. I want and I promise to be with you during this journey, this adventure that I'm inviting you to embark on with me. Right. So, welcome to our family community. Join a community that cares about preserving your family legacy. Right. So, the subject line is already also powerful. It echoes that conversation. I like. Begin by addressing the unique value of being a part of your memory lane approach, emphasis, exclusivity. Okay, so it gave me a structure. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to grab this. Of course, I could have asked it to give me the whole 12 and consider it okay, well, now but it's the same thing. Break it down because if the first one, the first three are solid, when you go to the sequence, then you're moving in the right direction. If you flesh out or you try to flesh out all the 12 at once, well, you got 12 steps of correction before you. Uh, Keep that in mind. So, fleshing out the first one, let's see. Oh, what are you doing to me here? It's pretty long, but let me read it and see. Welcome to our community, our family community. Join a community that cares about preserving your family legacy. So, dear recipient, we're going to change that with our code. In today's digital age, where every moment is captured and stored in the cloud, the importance of safeguarding these precious moments cannot be overstated. At Memory Lane and Memory Place, we understand that your family legacy is more than just data. It's a treasure trove of cherished moments that deserve the utmost protection and care. Join our family community. I like that. Becoming a part of Memory Lane, Memory Place family means entering a space where your memories are valued and protected. Our community is built on the pillar of exclusivity, reliability, and social proof, ensuring that every member feels a profound sense of belonging and insurance. Exclusivity. Okay. It fleshed this out, make it shorter. So I wanted to make it short and more engaging. Let's see. Again, depending on what you are doing, you can choose to have a very elaborated content or short content. I recommend if your goal is to give a lot of information, go progressively into that exercise. Coming off the gate with a lot of information often enough can be overwhelming. Preserve your, go ahead, Dr. Lisa.
Hey, how you doing? I
Doing good.
with that, I'm sorry, I didn't wait for you to answer me.
Okay.
I was struck by it putting in those pillars. Like I
Mhm.
would want it to say those things without saying, yeah, I'm giving you social proof. I'm showing you like you tell it
Absolutely.
the pillars, but tell it not to say the pillars.
Absolutely. It went a little hardcore on the first one. We got what we got from it. The other rendition that I did with the AI were a little bit more stronger, but we'll see what it says here in the different in the second part. But absolutely right. And it's also saying this here again. Let's see. I'll read it out and see. Well, actually, I'll take a look at the examples that I got, the other one here, because I did this. I'm doing this with the mouse like chat there, but I had another option here. So we'll read those out and see the difference. It was done directly with chat. And let's take a look at what it offers here. Just increase that as well. Second. So this is what I got from using chat. So where family like yours belong. That was for the first email. The focus it's outlining its community, emotional trigger stacks use our exclusivity, reliability, and social proof, just like the first one. The call to action, a complimentary discovery meeting. So this is how it's fleshed out. The subject, a safe place for family who care about their memories. Header, because your story deserves a trusted community. Oh, I like that as well. Body, most family don't realize how fragile their digital memory really are. Pain point, until something disappears. That's why we build a private community designed for family who refuse to leave their stories to chance. Inside, you'll discover a trusted space where parent, grandparent, and digital storytellers share simple, reliable ways to protect generation of memory without ov- overwhelm. Sorry, we don't rely on guesswork. We rely on shared experience, expert guidance, and family who already found peace of mind. Join the same growing network that hundreds of family already trust to make memory protection easier, safer, and more personal than ever. Call to action, book a complimentary discovery meeting, get a personal walkthrough, and see how your family can belong here too. What do you think about that one? A lot more stronger. The second one in the series, let's test the strength of that one. Your memory deserve action before it's too late. Wow. Again, pain point, urgency, service for this one. So it's writing the sequence in accord to my prompts, giving me first the community, then the service, then an emphasis on the business. So, second one, your memory deserves action before it's too late. Service is the focus, the one job, trigger fear of missing out, scarcity, and urgency. It's already playing out in the title. Love it. Call to action, again, complimentary discovery meeting. The overall arching goal, one job of this campaign is to get you to meet with me or meet with us. Don't wait until your memory are gone. Fear of missing out. A few minutes today could save a lifetime of moment. I like that value. Body, every day, family lose thousands of photos and videos to corrupted drive, expired cloud accounts, or forgotten password. Yeah, yeah. Once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah. I think we all lived through that experience. That's why we've opened a limited number of free discovery meeting this week. Scarcity to help families like you set up a personal secure system that protects your memory from digital loss. These sessions will fill quickly because each one is personalized to your home setup. If you've ever told yourself, I'll organize it later, now is your chance to make sure later doesn't come too late. Book a complimentary discovery meeting before this week. Slots are gone. And the last one, my family trusted memory place. The conversation is focused around the business, emotional trigger stacking, authority plus trust plus anticipation. Call to action, complimentary discovery meeting. Subject line, the new standard for family memory protection. Trust, authority. Okay. Build with care, proven by families, trusted by experts. A lot of that. I love it. Uh, Body. Just bring this down here so we can better read it. Body. For over a decade, our team has worked behind the scene for digital storage, privacy protection, and storytelling. We know what works and what doesn't. Memory Place was born from the experience from that experience, a platform built specifically for families who want to control, not just convenience. Who want control, not just convenience. Our method have already been adopted by families, historian, photographer, and digital preservation specialist. Okay, we've got to be careful on the sauce. We might change that a little bit, but again, it's all part of the testimony received from the company, so you can swap that or adjust that. But it also gives us a good idea of where we can take our conversation next in terms of audience. So I like that. So digital preservation specialists who know that trust isn't given, it's earned. Every feature we create anticipate your family next needs so your memories remain safe, organized, and shareable for years to come. You don't have to imagine a future where your story is secure. You can start it today. feedback, comments on that approach?
I like it a lot.
You like a lot?
Yeah, I like it a lot, especially digital memory preservation. I like those three words ring very nicely. It's something I'm gonna steal.
Nah, it's not to steal. It's right there to be taken. It's offered. So commune it, right? The most important thing for me is that you get this first part in setting up those because once you have that, after that, we fall into a copy and paste, right? I like here what I get. So I'm going to grab this and start putting it to use. Of course, because of the format that you got here, once you scoop over to now site, well, you're going to have to adjust where these things are being put, but that's about it in terms of the process. And again, knowing is half the battle. So if you are planning your email sequence and you have followed the right logic tree, you already have enough knowledge or preparation to start into this direction. So here, I'm going to go back just for the mechanics. I opened the 5 email template that I created. I'm just going to go back to the first one, click on edit, right? And I want to bring the text in first thing. So I'm going to edit the text and I'm going to control V it, right? Of course, there are things that are going to need to be removed. So I'm going to remove this description of the body here. Here, call to action. I'm going to remove this here, right? And I'm going to grab this. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment to be made, but already you can see that I can come and start doctoring my conversation properly. I'm going to put the call to action here for the button. And I'm going to go back to those. So after that, it's really just transferring the information, giving it the right look and feel, highlighting. And if you want to go into the hyperlinks approach, you can as well. But again, be careful with that. I'm just going to cut this out. Okay. Here, come back here. And it's really just at this point a repetition of what we know. There's one thing here that I noticed. I'm not sure how you guys feel about these space. Often enough, there's a lot. So I'll tend to reduce the space in the button so that it's closer to what I want. And here, what I'll do is we'll align this in the middle. So, and you can see. So after that, it's really up to what you want to do. There are some good things that we picked up on yesterday. For those who are in there, very interested or very interesting. Why not make sure that the code for the conversation here? So address the person by first name. That usually will stand out in the subject line of an email. Oh, my name is in there. They must know me. Why not? Right? Same thing. Uh,
Hmm.
Same thing in the title. Robert did this yesterday. I thought it was a very good move. At the heading, in the hook, in the title, why not address the person here? And for the magic number or repetition, why not? Right? So this is how you get to use these codes. They're simple, paste. So here, same thing. I want my first name as part of the conversation, right? And so I can come back and start doctoring. Once you have that in place, then again, we can duplicate. Since I did a few changes to the template itself, adding my name and such, that could be something that I want to keep. And that's it. The most important part, this is really the mechanics of it at the end, copying and pasting. But the crust of the discussion was really about, okay, approaching this using everything that we have established before and making sure that we properly map out our approach before even giving it to AI. Because that way we know exactly where we're going. AI knows what we are also aiming to get out of it. And we have a better matrix or system to evaluate what we get, the outcome. Questions, concerns, pushbacks? I was expecting to have a little bit more questions based on the the interaction we had previously when we were talking about emails. There were still a few concerns in between the lines and the questions, and maybe in between the silence. So questions, feedback,
No,
gray zones.
great information, brother. I loved it. Like I said, I'm gonna take that one part and utilize it for sure. I'm glad
Pleasure.
that we're putting this all together. I trust that people are getting some value out of it, and we'll have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see some, if not all of you, on Monday.
Absolutely. For the last transition, more golden nuggets, and have a great weekend to you all.
Have a great one. Bye for now.